Good morning children, and I hope you are fine and good. Today we are going to continue the same lesson, consumption analysis. So shall we recall whatever we have learned in the previous class? We have learned human wants, characteristics of human wants, classification of goods and services, law of diminishing marginal utility, law of equi-marginal utility, and also the consumer surplus. And today in your lesson we are going to learn about the law of demand in detail. Children, before we learn the law of demand, we should know the meaning of demand. What is demand? Demand is nothing but a person should be able to buy the good, or he must be willing to possess the good, or he must be able to pay for it, and that is the meaning of demand. So the definition has been given here as demand in economics means desire backed up by enough money to pay for the good demanded. Only if a person is able to pay for it, he must go for it. And that is the definition of demand, which is given by Stonier and Hag. Now, characteristics of demand. The characteristics of demand will be, first one, price. So demand is always related to price. Time. Demand always means per unit of time, per day, per week, per month, or per year. Market. Demand is always related to the market, buyer and seller. Then amount. Demand is always a specific quantity which a consumer is willing to purchase. So these are the characteristics of demand. Demand function. Demand function is nothing but depends upon the price. Demand for a commodity is a function of price. So demand function is mathematically written as D is equal to F of P, where D is equal to demand and F is equal to function and FP is equal to price. This is the demand function. Children, I think we all know the meaning of demand now. Now let us learn the law of demand, children. Law of demand says that people will buy more at lower price and buy less at higher price. And that is the definition given by Samuelson, but the other things remaining the same. That is, people will buy more goods at a lower price. We will buy more goods at a very less price, and we will buy very less goods at a higher price. But we have to follow certain assumptions. What are the assumptions? The income of the consumer remains constant. The taste, habit and preference of the consumer remain the same. The prices of other related goods should not change. There should be no substitutes for the commodity. The demand for the commodity must be continuous. There should not be any change in the quality of the commodity. Only if they are going to follow these assumptions, then the law will be applicable. Otherwise, it is not applicable. Children, shall we learn about the demand schedule explanation? That is, this law of demand states the relationship between the price of a good and the quantity demanded of a commodity. It means a rise in price of a commodity is followed by a contraction of demand, and fall in prices followed by extension of demand. And that is why it states that it is an inverse relationship between price of a commodity and the quantity demanded. Now, shall we learn the diagram explanation of this law of demand? X-axis represents the quantity demanded and Y-axis represents the price. DD is the demand curve which has a negative slope. It means it slopes downwards from left to right. Why it slopes downwards from left to right? Because when the price falls, the demand expands. And when the price is going to increase, the demand contracts. And that is the meaning. That is why the law of demand curve slopes downwards from left to right. Children, shall we learn the market demand curve? We all know the meaning of market. Market is nothing but the place where the buyer and seller meet together and they have an exchange. of goods. Now, so here the market demand curve will be drawn by adding all the individual consumers. So here they have given A's demand, B's demand and C's demand. By adding all the consumers individual demand curve, we get the market demand curve. So to represent this market curve, when the price is 3, it is 2 plus 2 plus 4 is equal to 8. When the price is 1, it is 6 plus 8 plus 8 is equal to rupees 22. So the market demand is 22 when the price is 1. The market demand is 8 when the price is 3. This is known as market demand curve of a commodity. Children, shall we learn the determinants of demand? That is, certain factors are going to determine the demand. First one, changes in taste and fashion. That is, when there is going to be a change in the taste and fashion, people will move to the new product and they go for it. Change in weather. When there is going to be a change in the weather also, people will go for a new product. That is, when summer arises, people will buy more cool drinks. Then taxation and subsidy. It is nothing but if fresh taxes are levied or the exchange rates are existing rates are increased, then the price of the commodity also increases. When there is going to be a subsidy, it will bring down the prices. So taxes reduce demand and subsidies will increase the demand. Changes in expectations, that is, expectations also bring about a change in demand. For example, when there is expectation of rise in price in future, results in increase in demand. Change in savings and demand are inversely related. State of trade activity. The state of trade activities are boom and depression. During the time of boom period, that is when there is going to be a prosperity, good trade will be there. So at that time, more demand for goods. In the time of depression, bad trade and there is unemployment prevails in the economy, then the people will not go for buying a product because they lose their jobs and they will not have enough money to buy for the product. Then advertisements. In advanced capitalistic countries, advertising is a powerful instrument to increase the demand in the market. Then changes in income. An increase in family income may increase the demand. For example, they go for durable goods like the refrigerator, television, etc. Then changes in population. The demand for good depends upon the size of population also. An increase in population tend to increase the demand for a product and a decrease in population tend to decrease the demand. These are the determinants of demand. Children, now we are going to learn the certain exceptions to the law of demand. Normally the demand curve slopes downwards from left to right, but there are some unusual demand curves which do not obey the law and they move upwards from left to right. So in that case, the demand curve will be called as exceptional demand curve. So in this diagram, we can see that DD is the demand curve which slopes upward from left to right. When the price is OP1, the demand is OQ1. When the prices increase to OP2, the quantity also increase to OQ2. The demand extends to OQ2 and they are called as exceptional demand curves. Children, now we are going to learn the reasons for the exceptional demand curve. First one, Giffen paradox. This Giffen paradox is an exception to the demand curve. That is, when the price of an inferior good falls, people will buy less and vice versa. Example, ragi. Then, Veblen or demonstration effect. That is, mostly the rich people will buy the costly goods, diamond or costly car, to show off their higher status or prestige in the society. That is, even though the price is very high, they go for it. That is known as Veblen effect. Ignorance. Sometimes people think that only when the price is very high, the quality of the good is also very good. so that they go for it only when the price is high, and this is called as ignorance. Then speculative effect, that is, if the price of the commodity is increasing, then the consumer will buy more of a particular good of the expectation that it will increase still further. Example, stock market. The next one will be fear of shortage. During the time of any emergency or war, people may expect shortage of a commodity and so buy more. These are the reasons for the exceptional demand curve. Children, now we are going to learn the extension and contraction of demand. That is, the changes in the quantity demanded occur due to the changes in price alone are called as extension and contraction of demand. It means people will buy more good at a less price and less goods at a higher price, and it is called as extension and contraction of demand. It is explained in the diagram. At point A, when the price is OP2, the quantity demanded is OQ2. When the price is reduced to OP3, the quantity demanded has increased to OQ3. It means when the price is less, we buy more. That is known as extension of demand. When the price is increased from OP2 to OP1, the quantity has been decreased to OQ1. That is, this is known as contraction of demand. So when the price is less, we buy more, and when the price is high, we buy less. This is known as extension and contraction of demand. Children, now shall we learn the shift in the demand curve. The shift in the demand curve occurs only when there is going to be a change in the other factors. The other factors are change in income, change in taste and preference, and the price of the substitute. And when there is going to be a change in these factors, it is called a shift in the demand curve. So, in this diagram, we can see the original demand curve is DD. When the price is OP1, the quantity demanded is OQ1. When there is going to be a change in the other factor, income, taste and preference, the demand has been decreased from OQ1 to OQ2. And this is known as decrease in demand, and we have a new demand curve D1. The next diagram states that when the price is OP1, the quantity demanded is OQ1. When there is going to be a change in the other factors like change in income, taste and preference, and the price of the substitutes, the demand increased from OQ1 to OQ2, and that is why it is called as increase in demand, and we have a new demand curve D1. So extension and contraction of a demand follow a change in the price. Shift in demand curve occurs only when there is going to be a change in the other factors. They are change in the income, taste and preference, and the price of the substitutes. Hi, hello children, how are you all? Shall we discuss what all we have learned in the Google Classroom? We have learned the demand, law of demand, definition of law of demand, schedule, diagram, explanation, assumptions of law of demand, and the movement along the demand curve and the shifts in the demand curve. All these things we have learned in the Google Classroom. Okay children, I hope you would have understood this lesson. Have a nice day. Thank you.